Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Stephen Roberts. I'm Research Engagement Manager at King's College London. So the KEF presented both challenges and opportunities for us at King's College London. We have got a different approach, and we didn't perhaps, initially at least, fit into the narrative that was being asked around public and community engagement. We are champions of a service approach, civic university, really striving to make the world a better place. We do some amazing stuff, but actually we don't have a central public and community engagement with research team. What we do have is slightly different. Essentially, in 2016, as part of the Catalyst Seed Fund, we pitched an idea to focus on that point in time when researchers have one of those other pressures we're all too familiar with, which is to develop research grant proposals. And we would support them at that very precise point in time when their need for support around impact and public and community engagement is actually quite high. So we sit within the Research Strategy and Development Directorate at King's, so we're centrally located. And of course, that's the team who works through research development managers with all of the faculties and the vast majority of research grant proposals that the college puts forward. So that gets us access to those researchers who've got a need. We also have very close relationships with the Culture and Science Gallery London teams, who of course are external facing, have got amazing connections with enablers, professionals, creatives, and loads more besides. So we're bridging that gap, if you like. We normally get in touch with researchers directly as a result of a recommendation from a research development manager. Initially, we started going out doing departmental seminars and presentations. We still do that a little bit, of course, if invited, but actually the best referral, if you like, is a researcher who is 6 to 8 weeks prior to submitting an idea that's already formulated. We feel we can make a really big difference. And we've actually done some evaluation to demonstrate that as well. At that point, we often connect and we ask all the usual questions. We challenge them in all the usual ways that public and community engagement professionals would do. So what's your rationale? What's your purpose? Who are your audience? Who will benefit? Have you got smart outcomes? Have you got an evaluation plan? Are you going to put appropriate resource into this? Who are your partners, collaborators? And all of these ideas that we all, really for us, is our bread and butter. But actually, by doing it at the point that they're developing this research proposal, they can actually put that plan onto paper, include resource for it, and make it happen. The plus side, of course, is they're then committed by the funder to actually do this great work that they've written down. And we occasionally, if they want it, support them on the delivery side as well. So we've supported over 400 researchers since 2017. We've 450 grant proposals, and we're working with them on 21 live projects at the moment. So the KEF in many ways constrained our narrative and our response. We don't have a central strategy, for example, for public and community engagement. But actually the way we work, we help researchers develop their strategy that's relevant to their particular research and indeed that specific project that can ensure that they've got effective knowledge exchange as part of their work. And that's slightly different to others. So fitting that in was a bit of a challenge. Of course, we've got other strategic drivers. Fundamentally, the vision to make the world a better place is relevant, but they were somehow more distant to most universities which might well have a strategy of public and community engagement, which is more traditional, I suppose. So our approach to the KEF was actually to take quite a grassroots approach. We, certainly for the public and community engagement narrative, that was driven, of course, by intelligence that various staff who are involved in various areas fed in on. But we also supported our narrative with a survey, and that survey was passed out to hundreds of researchers and indeed public and community engagement professionals across the college. We got a decent response rate to that. But actually, I think that approach of, if you like, a democratic approach to ask those practitioners who were the largest cohort of respondents to drive our narrative led to us submitting undoubtedly a modest score when compared with our peers. Certainly I, and I'm imagining many of us are ambitious. We can always do better, we can always improve. There's always something more amazing that we can do, as well as acknowledging the great stuff that we do. So I think our ambition as a community, and perhaps a degree of frustration that we don't, for example, have a central strategy for public and community engagement at King's College, led to a modest score. And I think what it's also led to is change and development of new approaches, better support, and hopefully a strategy. So I think if we were to go through that exercise again now, it was a good approach. It was quite a labour-intensive approach, but we would actually be confident to give ourselves a better score on the basis of the responses that I'm sure we'd get. It felt a little bit like we didn't quite fit, or our approach didn't fit what has to be, to work across the sector, has to be, I suppose, a fairly fixed model. And it led to us, I suppose, potentially not being able to get across all of the great stuff that goes on in this space, all of these activities that are around knowledge exchange, because they're actually happening in quite a dispersed manner. And actually, a lot is going on that centrally we aren't aware of. And actually, that's great. We don't really mind that, but it does make it a challenge when you're asked to report on it. And potentially that reporting, of course, could lead to financial rewards that are linked to how effectively or not you're describing your situation. So without doubt, we're keen to see the in the future, the KEF to adapt in ways that can allow for, I say non-traditional. We'd like to think our approach being innovative in a positive way, but actually we'd like to see both the KEF adapt how we're addressing these sort of learnings, or including this good practice in a way that can influence others. And of course, I think at the same time, we're going to adapt how we approach things, and actually are in the process of developing a central strategy for public and community engagement, which is a positive outcome for the college and our communities too.